Howdy. Well, I've become something of an expert on dating Italian-made firearms because, well, I sort of had to. Let me show you, by the way, I went and looked at the door today, and the USPS ferry brought me a box, a really interesting box. Some time back, I had a little bit of a dickering, a little horse trading with a fellow by the name of Garrett Woods over a left-handed flintlock I had, and he offered me a 1858 new model in 36 Remington. And I thought, oh, that sounds like a pretty good deal. Now, I have 1858, 36, and a 44 caliber Remingtons already, but I have a problem with one of them, and I thought, well, Garrett's might be a good solution to that problem, and it is. Anyway, let me show you. What you're looking at here, from your, I guess that's your right to left, this is a 1969, I think, Army San Marcos pistol. And this is a 1978 Euro Arms. And this one's really interesting. This is a Navy Arms in 44. And this is what Garrett sent. It's a Pieta. Now, I wanted to know what years these were. This one I can't find a date on, but but there's two clues on it. All Italian-made guns will have a proof mark on them, without exception, except those original imports of Val Forget Jr., the guy who started this whole thing. This is one of them. It has absolutely no Italian proof mark anywhere on it. Therefore, this is probably from the 1950s. This is probably the oldest of all of these. I bought it at a gun auction, and the guy who ran the auction I know, and he told me that this had been sitting in a widow's collection because it was her husband's, and she'd never shot it, and her husband had seldom shot it, and she'd had it for like 40 years or so. Well, I was born in the 1950s, and that means that he bought it 20 years before that, and he was sitting on it, and he died, and then she was sitting on it, and then sold it, and I got it at a just a beautiful price. But anyway, the way you tell the date on any pistol like this, I don't know if you can see it. I'll try to show you. I'm going to give you some light here. If you look, you see these markings down here? Well, let me get my glasses because I can't ever see. Okay, the first thing that this and this are proof house marks, and those both say the Gardone proof house, and this is the date code. And unless you knew it was the date code, you'd say, what the heck is that? Well, it says AD, and you need one of these, a magic date code decoder. And AD on this thing says, ABCD, 1978. This one's XX. By the way, this date code goes from 1945 to 2010. And that was a problem with Garrett's, because his is newer. And this one goes from 1977 to 2008. And this one goes from 1945 to 2010. But this one takes it to the newest. It goes from 1997 to 2017. Garrett's is marked CP. CP is 2016. I learned that, 1945 was the end of World War II. Before 1945, Italy was under the control of the fascists, and Mussolini had changed the calendar, and he had started a calendar starting at the beginning of the fascist era. So dates on Italian-made firearms before 1945, well, after the fascists came to power and up till 1945, will have two dates on them. One is the fascist date, and the other is the Gregorian calendar date. Well, I know that from, I've got a Beretta up there that's from the army of that time, and it has a fascist date on it. But after 1945, the only real valid way of dating these is via the proof mark. Well, this one, which is, I think, about the oldest I've got, well, other than this, 1969, the hand back here, I think, is all messed up, or it could be the ratchets on the cylinder itself. But this one is an Army San Marcos. They've been out of business for 20 years or so. So is Euro Arms. And, well, so is Navy Arms, come to think of it. The only one of these that's still in business is Pieta. This one, by the way, was probably made by Uberti, because that was who Val first dealt with over there. Excuse me, it must be allergies or something. I've got a frog in my throat. Anyway, when he sent this, he also sent this bitchin' holster. Thank you, Garrett. I mean, it's kind of a cool holster. I don't think that's one of Duke Fraser's, but it's kind of a nice holster anyway. It's right-handed. Garrett, what were you doing with a right-handed holster? I mean, he's a southpaw. And he sent this wonderful book, so I'm going to be kind of busy tonight reading. Just a really cool-looking book. I have several books on similar subjects to this, the various forts of the Civil War and the Indian Wars. And this looks to be pretty cool. Pretty darn cool. Anyway, that's what I'm doing right now is I've been decoding. If anybody else is interested in the dates of Italian guns and looking up their own particular proof marks or proof mark codes, I'll include the links I found. It took me a couple of hours looking online to find all of these, but I'll leave links to all of them in the description of this video. So take a look there if you're interested in getting your own copies of these things. You know, it took me a while to find them. Anyway, happy trails.